to the Composing is Magic panel. Hopefully we'll be able to get an insight in the magic of composing. And please let me introduce Daniel Ingram.
I'm wondering if you guys can do me a huge favor. I have one of my guys back home in Vancouver. He's been doing a ton of work on the next Quest for Girls movie, doing all the production and also a lot of the arranging on season 5. And he's getting married, or he got married today. And so what I want to do is send him a little video, because I couldn't be there because I'm here, sort of saying sorry I couldn't be there, but I've got some friends and we all want to wish you congratulations. So can you guys help me do that? Yeah. Thank you. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say a little something, and then you guys say, like I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then you say, congratulations, Caleb and Whitney. You have a question? Okay, let's go, congratulations, Caleb and Whitney, scream, and then sing Love is in Bloom. maybe only just a bar or two, we'll see how far we get. Okay. Yeah. How does it go? How does it start again? Does anyone remember? Okay, we'll just sort of muddle through it. It'll be awesome. Alright, so I'm going to start shooting now. Here we go. Okay, wait a second. I'm going to flip this around. Hey guys, I'm sorry I couldn't be there for your wedding, but I have some new friends here and we all want to say something to you. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that is so great. It's 1 in the morning in Vancouver. I'm going to send them this right now. Because they might catch it because they're still celebrating their wedding right this minute. Okay, here we go. Send.
Keep us updated.
Alright, sorry about that, Lavender.
That's fantastic. That was absolutely brilliant. So I guess to start, I was going to say Seeing Love is in Bloom. When talking about songs when you compose songs for television, for shows, what are some key differences between doing that and writing a song just to exist by itself? Is there anything you could say is a key difference there?
Yeah, well it's definitely, I think, quite a different process. I mean, for a long time before I was doing television, and I was in university, they tell you, okay, just write something. And it's quite challenging to actually come up with inspiration out of thin air, I find. Well, whereas when you work with a television show, or film, or any kind of other medium, you're sort of given a framework in which to write. So on a show like Pony, like say we know what character's going to sing it, and we know about what that character's personality is. And then I know what the context of the story, I know it's got to get us from A to B. And I find a lot of those parameters that really, I guess some could say maybe restrict the process, but actually define the process, make it a lot easier to write a song. Like I find it quite intimidating to start from a blank slate as opposed to, a script and a mission.
You got a beginning, middle, and an end, so you know where you're going.
Yeah, you know what that role is. I mean, really, when you work in television, it's a very collaborative function. So, I mean, I just think back to even the very first song I wrote with Lauren Faust did the lyrics to Pinkie Pie's Laughter song. And she had like these ideas, like she had this band she really liked, and they had like mandolin and little synths, like 8-bit synths, and she's like, I really like this sound, and I've got these lyrics, and it's this really happy pony who's like loves to party, and I'm able to take those elements, and suddenly the end result becomes a lot more clear than trying to create something from nothing, which is pretty challenging.
as you said there, you kind of wrote it alongside with Laura and Faust. When you're writing songs, does that happen kind of concurrent to the episodes being written so you can tie it in with the story?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the creative process when it comes to creating a show starts with the very, very, very first stage is what's called a treatment. And so they start by saying, okay, what's this episode going to be about? Like, what's the arc of the episode? And the writer, maybe it'll be Megan, will sort of just come up with like a one-page summary of what that episode is. And then they'll look at that and say, is there a place that a song might fit? And then the next step after that is the script gets written. And then within that, they'll either have written some lyrics out or they'll just say song here. And then about this. And then the song, I start writing the song then quite early in the process. So before we've recorded the voice actors, before we've animated, of course. And then that way we can time it out and sort of see how it fits. And of course, I'll read the whole script. I'll have a pretty good idea of, like one of the first questions I always ask is like, hey, how long is this song supposed to be? And they're like, a minute. And then it ends up being 4 minutes. And then we have to arm wrestle.
So that's one of the main challenges, I think, is the 25-minute slot that the episode has.
22.
22 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, adverts, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite a challenge. What other challenges do you usually face apart from that and deadline?
Executives. No, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of cooks in the oven, cooks in the kitchen, I guess the expression is. No, Hasbro's great, but you do, a lot of it is, I'm not just writing to please myself, of course. I'm really writing to please, first and foremost, Jason Thiessen and the core creative team, and Mike Vogel, and then it goes up the chain, it goes through the Hasbro people, and then it goes to the hub people, and then it goes to the branding people. So probably like 30 different people will have heard a demo of a song, and it's usually me singing, and it's usually horrendous. And somehow they have to hear that and kind of go, okay, we approve. And that's the first challenge, is just getting the song approved. And I've learned, I used to like hire like really good singers to sing the songs, thinking, okay, I want them to hear as close as possible how good it could sound. But then I realized if I sing it and it sounds kind of bad, it gives me room to say, oh, it'll be way better. So that's what I do now.
How often, not just for songs, but also your underscore work, I think the first question I want to ask, at what process, I know you do some underscore.
I do a lot of underscore. Yeah.
For underscore is the background music, what goes under the episodes. At what process do you usually start that? Is it once it's been animated, is it to the animatic, or? Yeah,
no, that's a good question. I mean, if it's like a feature film, a lot of times that process will start very early. Because you write these suites of music for themes for these characters, because it runs an arc of like a 2-hour movie, like an animated film like Frozen or something. And that's really a really neat process because you can really explore some deeper music. But with the TV series, it's a totally different process for underscore. So the episode is fully animated. I rarely ever see the animatics. And we have 1 week to do the music. So it starts with a meeting with the finished animation, but no sound effects and no music. And we watch through it and decide, like with the director and the directors, okay, let's start the music here and let's have it be like this. And so we discuss basically a game plan. And a typical episode can have, like when I do one, is about 250 different markers for all the music is. And it's just like, okay, wow, how are we gonna tackle this? I've got a week. And then at that point, you just you're writing, from front to back, basically, all of the background music. And so, yeah, the songs happen very early in the process, whereas the background underscore is the very last part of the process. So on an episode, I've scored a couple of My Little Pony episodes. I did Magical Mystery Cure and Pinkie Pride with Stefan, and it was kind of cool for us because we did the songs like 8 months before, and then we come back to it so much later and realize, oh, okay, now we have to put glue in between all of this and tell this story.
You said there, when it comes to feature films, there's a lot of emphasis on themes and kind of building characters in the music. And it is true that you have this kind of sweep of motifs and things that you build up. But I actually found that in the episodes as well, in the songs. You lean heavily on instrumentation, giving specific instruments to characters. Mm-hmm. Is that something you do within your creative freedom? Is there a
yeah,
behind that?
Definitely, because there's two ways to sort of create an identity for a character. They're like leitmotif, as they say in German, like their melody, and then you also have their instrumentation. And sometimes the instrumentation can speak louder than the actual melody. So I know, like, Will does mostly, the underscore for Pony. He does a spectacular job. And I know, like, for Applejack, it's suddenly it's banjo. It's not always the same banjo melody, but you kind of associate that with it.
Rarity comes on as a harpsichord.
Exactly, yeah. Or like a guitar or something, for Rainbow Dash when there's opportunity, things like that. So that's one device you have as a composer. You go, okay, what instruments are going to speak this language for this character, and then what thematic content. And so on episodes, the reason that I had asked to do the score on those episodes that were like the musical episodes was because I really wanted to find ways to create the melodies from the songs as part of the background music. And so you hear that a lot in, particularly in Pinky Pride, like, Pinky's Lament, that sad song, like that melody you'll hear before you hear the song, you actually hear it in the score. And you can play with those kind of things, and it makes it actually a lot easier.
Alright. As a kind of insight, you got your start as a apprentice. I forget you said it on.
Yeah, his name is Al.
Oh.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone wanting to get into the sort of things you do, whether it be making songs for TV or making underscore for television? Is there anything that you could do as a kind of practice to? Because you can't instantly go out and say, I want to work for you. Mm-hmm. You need to kind of get some experience there.
Yeah.
Is there anything you could say to that?
That's a good question. I definitely did it the right way and I know that
right way?
and that is by having a mentor. Mm. And all of my colleagues I know who've done well and have gone up through the ranks, and some of the guys who I've known have really gone on to do some big movies. And they were just apprenticing too, right out of school. And so I'd say that's the way to do it. You want to teach yourself as much as you can. You want to write as much. It's actually, with music is funny. Like music, you don't want to just know about music. You kind of have to know about life. You need to know about art, and you need to know about literature and dance and film, because all of these mediums will involve music in some way or another in your career. So maybe with literature and poetry, one day you find yourself writing lyrics and you really draw on that. Or with film, you find yourself writing film music. Or similarly with theater and whatnot. So you kind of have to educate yourself in all these things. And so I think it's not just about concentrating on the music. And then of course, these days you've got a lot of technology. So there's all of the exploration of all the different apps and all the different tech that you need to know. And then you also have to know music. So it's like almost the most impossible thing in the world, because you have to know pretty much like everything about everything, it feels like. And I find that on one hand very overwhelming, but on the other hand very exciting, because life with music is just an endless ocean of knowledge. You're never going to tap it. You're never going to learn everything that you could possibly learn. You just do your best with constantly feeding yourself more information. And then you go, and it's really great to find somebody in your industry who is working at a high level, and just, I went in and I just said, Hal, like, I'll work for free, like, I'll sweep the floors, I don't care, I just want to be here. And he was nice enough to give me like a basic wage. It was low, but it didn't really matter. And then as I was working there for the first 2 years, and Hal did hundreds of cartoons. He's an incredible guy in Vancouver. He's like really well known where I'm from. And I was just like, wow, there's so much I didn't know. And it's just things you just can't learn in universities. So that's really the final stage. Like, once you learn all about it, you experience as much life as you can, you experience as much music as you can, and then you study with someone who you can really learn from. And then if you're lucky, you also try to make a lot of friends. Because your friends are the ones who help you out, actually.
So about genres a little bit. When it comes to you writing your songs, genres can be extremely diverse and you can split between genres in the middle of a song.
Yeah.
Is that often your creative flow, or do you get asked to go into a specific genre in the spotting sessions?
You know, it's interesting. Like a show like Pony is very a particular thing versus like something like Little's Pet Shop, which on a show like Little's Pet Shop, there's just like every song, let's make it a different genre, and everything. Let's just have fun with spoofing every genre we can think of. Pony started out like that. So when they did, I guess when we did the Cutie Mark Crusaders song, it was like, let's do a really bad 80s song. And that's what they were gonna do. Like every cartoon does that. It's like Family Guy is especially notorious for that. I think let's find something funny that we already know and just like have fun with that style. But then with Pony, it really quickly evolved. It's like, you know what? Let's stop spoofing stuff and let's see if we can create a unique thing. And that created a different challenge because I think the songs in My Little Pony are pretty distinctive. You know, not beyond just the fact that the voice actors have very distinct voices. But, you know, oftentimes just the style I employ is pretty consistent throughout the whole series. So then the challenge becomes less about tackling a genre as much as like taking this genre that we created and not just repeating ourselves all the time. So how to like push that boundary. And on a show that's going like over 100 episodes and, you know, fingers crossed we'll go 200 or 300 episodes. It could happen. You know, that becomes increasingly challenging as to how to find a way to take something that fits and yet make it new at the same time.
Okay. Taking on a tangent, I guess.
Sure.
Kind of we're just jumping all around the place with this. 3 things you do before you sit down to start writing a song for the show.
Scotch. Let's see. It's funny. What is the process? I really like to spend a lot of time. Like I believe in this sort of subconscious percolation of ideas, meaning I procrastinate. And so yeah, like I get the script and we have a discussion about what kind of it's going to be, and then I just sort of avoid it for as long as possible. And there's always so much going on in a day, like around the studio. It's so crazy because we do a lot of shows, and then it tends to be finally like 4 days have gone by, 5 days, and the song is always due within a week of our initial meeting, just like an episode. And then one day I'll start to dread it. Like it's weird. Like as time goes on, like as days start to tick away and I haven't started, the fear of not starting and the unknown is actually much worse than the writing process. So then I start to get like really tense and I can feel like I'm stressed out and I'm maybe like losing my temper or something. And then I finally like sit down and start writing and it comes out right away and it's usually really quick and I feel so much better. Like, why didn't I just do that 4 days ago? But I think there's something to that process. You're just sort of thinking about it. And then once I've written the initial idea, that process is quite solitary. That part I do alone. The rest of the process is pretty collaborative. But the initial idea is sort of like the melody and the lyrics, like refined, and piano chords or guitar chords. And I'll record that like often into my iPhone. I should play you some of them. They're really funny. And then I'll not really show it to anybody yet. Oops, I go through these things a lot. I'll not really play for anyone. I'll just sort of like know that if I just can't get it out of my head, like I'm in the shower and I keep hearing it, then it's probably gonna stick. Like even today, like I've been here this weekend. I'm working on something for season 5, and these guys were nice enough to put a piano in my hotel room, and yeah, all day I've had this song stuck in my head. So next year when season 5 comes out, I'll have to tweet about which one I wrote here while I was tweeting. Yeah, so I guess that's how it starts. It starts with waiting a while, and then it usually comes out in a day, and then I spend a day just sort of reflecting and tweaking it. It's kind of fun to go back when you've already got something there and just sort of change a few chords and change a few melodies, and I might rewrite the chorus or something. And then I go in and I present it to my team, and I say, okay guys, what do you think? And they're usually pretty brutally honest with me. They'll say, you know, that part seems kind of weak, or I really like that. And then I'll sort of like, you know, take that, refine it, and then at that point we send it off, and it's now we're off to the races.
And you said once you've got that initial kind of sketch for the song done, it sits kind of stewing away until everything's finished for months and months and months. Do you find yourself forgetting about it and then coming back to it to finish the production of it? Or?
Well, no, the production happens pretty quick. So as soon as we send a piano demo off, so it exists out there, every single song has been done as like a piano sketch. And then once that is approved, and they fortunately on this show, they approved like 99.9% of those, which is great. Then I immediately go into production mode because it's fresh. And I have a team of people that I do that with, because if I were to do it, I'd write one song a month. I just wouldn't be able to keep up. So I have, Stefan was doing for the first 4 seasons, and David Corman. I've got some different guys this season because they're getting busy. And so we have a team of maybe like 4 people who then tackle the production. And then I work with them pretty closely on that and say, well, I want, you know, this is what I'm looking to get. And then we record all the guitars and the drums and the orchestra stuff, which we do with MIDI. And then that gets sent off a week later. So the production only takes a few days, actually. And then they hear it, and then hopefully they approve it, and then we go record it, usually a month after that, and then it sits on the shelf. And it's only like 9 months later that we go to final mix, and that's when I'll hear it 9 months later, and be like, oh, I wish I had done that differently. But oh well.
In the studio, you say you write most all other songs on piano. Do you find technology can get in the way of the songwriting process sometimes?
That's an excellent point, you know, and I feel like a lot of songwriters get or even, you know, composers just in general can get really distracted by the fine details of the sounds you're using. And so like, yeah, right, so you're kind of like, you're in the first verse and you don't like the bass sound you have, and then you're like, and you just get frustrated and you start searching through amp models and different bass sounds, and then you like 3 hours have gone by and you forgot that you were supposed to be writing like a song, you know? And so that happened to me a lot, and I would just get really frustrated because I wanted it to sound exactly perfect from the very beginning, and like go through this linear fashion. But it doesn't work that way. So now I realize, you know, a good song, like especially from YouTube, a kid can pick up a guitar or sit on a piano and just sing it themselves and play it, and it'll sound good. And none of that stuff matters, you know, the amp you use, or the bass you use, or the microphone you use, I mean, all of that lends to the end product, and it's really important. But in the process of writing from the core outward, none of that matters. So that's why I just do it on piano. I actually put away all the technology, I put away all the samples, and I say, if I can't make a song sound good with nothing but me singing and a guitar, then it's probably just smoke and mirrors.
But I'm guessing that process for when you are wearing the background music hat, as it were.
Yeah, that's different.
That's a different process.
Yeah.
Do you do that in a very linear fashion?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Steph and I actually approach it pretty similar. Our studios connect in the same office, and so like what we'll do is we'll like both just write like a piano sketch to it. So we'll just sort of go, well, what's this melody and what's these chords? And because you're trying to figure out what the arc is, and then you orchestrate that, just adding strings and woodwinds and all that stuff. So that's true. A lot of times in cartoons, though, the cues are so short. You know, they tend to be only, I don't know, like 5 to 20 seconds long, any particular piece of music. So it's so short almost that you don't need to think in the broader term. You just sort of like throw in a bunch of, you just throw in your little cue and write it that way.
But you got all these very short cues for technically hours and hours.
Yeah.
You work collaboratively with your with people in your studio. there anything specific to the workflow to keep on top of deadlines?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some pretty, I'm just getting a text, I think that's Caleb. Oh my God, okay, I gotta tell everybody what he said. Oh my God, Daniel, this is fantastic. We are actually beyond words. Love it. Party just wrapped up. Would have. So anyway, thanks guys. So yeah, we have a pretty complicated process actually, which I don't know if I want to get into because it's quite technical and quite boring. But yeah, I mean, all of those once that we plan the underscore, we create these 250 markers that gets put into a Google Doc, and that Google Doc then gets assigned to all the people working on it at the time. So for example, I have a full-time editor for every show I do. I know Will does too. And their job is to take the music we've already written for the show and just like slug in as much as they can, just to see something. It's really hard to watch something with just no music. And so we can watch it with some piece of music that their job is to make it pretty close. And we can go, okay, well, this is good now. I'm going to tweak it this way, or this is what it really needs. And so we'll watch through that and then just assign, okay, like Steph, you do those ones, I'll do these ones. And then we have like a plan, and we have something that's already in there that's like temp. And then you're just like replacing the temp with something a little bit more refined. And then that gets given all back to the editor, all of our cues, and then he puts them all into picture using Pro Tools. And then mixes it out, and then our clients give us notes and say like, okay, can you make this bigger or funnier or whatever. And then, and when you do like 26 episodes, or in case of like Pet Shop, it was 52 episodes in 1 year, so it's 52 weeks nonstop. It just becomes like a daily job. You go in at 9 and you write music for the afternoon, and then you work on a song for a bit, and then you write some more music, and then you go home and you forget about it. It's quite surreal actually. That it's like a 9 to 5. I got into music to not have a 9 to 5 job. Now I have a 9 to 5 job writing music.
Well, sometimes it can be 5 to 9.
Yeah.
It really depends.
Complaining.
Have you only ever wrote music for animation, or have you ever done films material before?
I started in live action. I was doing like what we call MOWs, movies of the week, and they're just like pretty cheesy television movies. And then I did a series for like our music station called Much Music, and MTV. And then I was doing live action, but when I was a kid, like I loved cartoons, and that was my thing. Like I just absolutely loved cartoons. I loved animation, and I used to sell these I was like known as the guy who could draw in my elementary school, and so I would do caricatures of everybody, and I would sell them for $1. It was my like little business I had going until everyone got mad at me because the characters were in some case not very flattering. And, but so I wanted to be an animator when I was a kid, and my parents said, well, they were actually pretty supportive. They just said, do what you want. But turned out I really wasn't that good an artist. So when I got into writing music for cartoons, it was this perfect return to my earlier childhood kind of passion, I guess.
So when you're doing animation, do you find it's a bit more flexible in terms of a canvas to paint music onto?
The thing about animation that's so wild is it's so vibrant, and this energy just pops so much. And so when you're writing, I write a song, and this happened a lot in the early days, and I'd think on its own, I'd listen to it and think, yeah, this is pretty good. And then they'd put it to animation months later, and it felt really flat. And I'm like, what happened? I thought this song was energetic, but when it's paired against colorful ponies, you realize it has to be really energetic, otherwise it starts to just not match up. So that's the challenge with animation, is you need to really it happens fast, and the themes have to happen fast, and the energy has to come right off the screen, and the voice actors have to bring so much energy to it. And that's the difference between amateur voice actors and the pros. Is the amateurs think that they sound really crazy, but when you actually put it up to animation, they sound kind of flat. Whereas the pros, they sound almost too much in the room. When there's nothing on screen, you're just doing voice acting. You think, whoa, talk about overacting. And then you see it against picture and you're like, oh, that works perfectly. And so the music like has to act in that same way. It's a little bit over the top. It's, because it has to sort of pick up that energy. Whereas I think with something like live act, or like if it's just music for listening's sake, you take a lot more time to develop a song and a long intro and you know, a long slow build. If you want, it doesn't really work in a cartoon.
When you see a piece of animation naked, as it were, without music, and that very kind of surreal experience of not being in kind of mood to it, it's how to word this? Could you give an example of, as you say, it needs to be quite wild and out there, but it's not always happy, happy, joy, joy. Could you give without getting too technical and boring and sending everybody to sleep, a couple of examples of how to change the mood of a scene using music either in a song or with a background?
Yeah.
Or both.
Well, it does. I mean, music. I mean, when I listen to, like, when I watch Pony and I listen to what Will's done with the background music, and you hear it without it, and then you hear it with it, it's like night and day. I mean, it's amazing how, I hate to say it, I don't mean to sound bad, but it's really can be quite boring without music, you know? And then you put in the score, and it's like, suddenly it comes to life. So it's really important, for sure. I think especially in a cartoon, like an animation, music really can do a lot. On certain types. I mean, some cartoons are meant to have like no music and they're great. But I don't know, like, I mean, a typical song, like a lot of times I get this song from Hasbro, they love it when something goes from A to B and it's like a complete, like, flip it on its head. And this happens in Pet Shop all the time. But like an example would be Pinky's Lament, how it's like, okay, let's start sad, let's end happy. And how can you go from like here to there in 2 minutes? And I really had that challenge in Magical Mystery Cure, actually, because, oh God, I mean, it's been a while now since, but I just remember they're going like, okay, we have to have Twilight go from like happy to now like really freaking out because her friends have all like lost their cutie marks. And then she just got to save all her friends. And then she has to become princess. And then she has to celebrate becoming a princess and be worried. I mean, that episode went through like 50 iterations of emotions in like 22 minutes. And so the songs, like you take a song like in that episode, it starts with, I think that's why that episode's a little bit disjointed, you know, and that was the challenge. Like I wish it was a two-parter. But it starts with her just singing Morning in Ponyville, and she's so happy, and then Find a Way happens, and it's like instantly sad, and so you really have to push to somehow justify your emotional journey as an audience. The music, like there's a lot of pressure on the music to try to get you there as fast as possible. Otherwise, you just don't sympathize with her. And it was funny with that song Find a Way. That was the first really sad song I ever tried to write in the show. And then they cut it short. They cut it in half. No, it's too short. You're just like, it was barely long enough to get that emotion across. And so I guess that's kind of to answer your question. It's like, okay, we're really happy in the beginning, and now I need to make her like really feel like, we need to feel like she's got a lot at stake here. And I can only really do that in a song, like to make your emotional resonance. And then when I cut the song in half, it makes it even harder. But that song got released in its full version now, I think, though, so that's good.
Does that kind of thing happen often? Are you asked to make changes or make cuts? And
yeah, more in the first 2 seasons, the songs were getting cut quite a bit, and like just cut down. And I remember kind of being surprised because they weren't even very long to begin with. I think they just didn't really think songs needed to be a very important role. And that was like in the first few episodes, the first 10 or something. And then that changed, and it was like, oh, wait a second. So nowadays they don't really cut the songs down at all. But like Fluttershy, what's that song she sings in the very first season?
So Many Wonders.
So Many Wonders, yeah. Like So Many Wonders was a lot longer than that. And it was quite and it was funnier. Like again, I guess that's an example of in the beginning, everything was supposed to be like about a bit of a joke. And so Many Wonders was another joke song where she was just like so happy. And then that song got cut so short, it kind of just didn't really make any sense in context anymore. But fortunately, we sort of like worked out, that's like, I guess part of the process is like starting a new show like Friendship is Magic, but no one really knows what it's going to be. And then over time, discovering what works and what doesn't work as well. And now I think we're kind of on the money, we're figuring it out now.
And you said that before with the Twilight, the very first Sand song, how often do you find yourself having to tackle something new? Completely brand new and process for.
Yeah, every time I think feels new. Sometimes I'll listen to things to get inspiration. Sometimes, but I don't like to do that much actually. I like to just. I mean, I think it's important on a show like this to bring your own vision to it a little bit, and so a lot of times I'll just sort of wing it. Really. I mean, unless they give me a reference. So that was like another thing that happened a lot in the early days. Like, obviously, people know that Rarity's dressmaking song was sort of inspired by Into the Woods, Sondheim, and then at the gala, maybe I'm getting it mixed up now. And we did that back then. It was very much like, okay, listen to this and spoof that. And so every song in the first season was almost, except for maybe Winter Wrap Up, was like a spoof of something else. And so we stopped doing that. And they realized, it's actually kind of good to let Daniel just do his own thing, rather than try to like have too many references. And so when Amy's Keating Rogers is a great writer, but she's also a musician, and so every time she writes lyrics, she also records herself singing it. And they never let me hear that. But they want to kind of keep me in a bubble and go, okay, just do what you think is right, and don't listen to any other. They kind of take out all the references and stuff at this point, which I like. I mean, I need to have some creative freedom, I think.
Do you find yourself kind of hitting a wall, creative freedom-wise, sometimes when you're writing something so strict, or?
No, I don't, because I know that if it's bad, I'll just have to do it again. And that happens actually quite a bit. Not that often, fortunately, but you just sort of have it in the back of your head, okay, what's more important, like meeting this deadline or doing something really good? And always it's meeting the deadline is more important. so I kind of, and this is actually quite liberating for anybody in this room who is a creative, a musician, and you struggle with getting things done, which I think is pretty common. Whatever you do, at the end of the day, even if it's a disappointment, it doesn't really matter because you're going to move on to the next thing after that. And if you do 10 things and one of them is great, then it was worth going through those 9 things that maybe weren't so great to get to that, because you're learning the whole time. I think the worst thing for the creative process is getting stuck and just getting in your own head and kind of saying, oh, it's not good enough, or I don't know what to do here. It's better to just do something. And so when I have these deadlines and I have to do something, and I only have I guess part of waiting 4 days to even start is I know that I just have to just run with it and get it done. And then once it's finished, a lot of times I'll look back and go, actually, there's a certain spontaneity, and it actually worked out better than I thought. And really, if there's something about it that's just not that good, then I just rewrite it. Just go back and change it again. And so I guess I don't really have the luxury of hitting a wall. I absolutely, no matter what, have to get something done. And regardless of if it ends up being derivative or just not very inspired, at least it's done, and that's the most important thing. And more often than not, I'm grateful for that, actually.
Well, here's the thing. We've nailed through this.
Yeah. We can do audience questions. People have questions.
We do have a Q&A, but if there's any specific to composing, do we have the means to gather a couple of questions in at all?
Raffer, you might have to get out in the audience and run around talk show style.
Testing.
I see some great cosplay in the audience. After 3 days, I'm amazed.
You said the creative process is like very solitary. What about for the songs for Cheese Sandwich? Did you work with Weird Al on those, or was it just kind of working in his style?
Yeah, no, like I never really, it was, I'm trying to answer that succinctly. No, I didn't work with Al. I recorded with him at the end of the day, but he didn't participate in the process. So by the time he heard the songs, they'd already been fully produced and sung by Lee Tokar, I think. Excellent Weird Al impression. And then Al heard them and then kind of got back to me and said, okay, this is good. And I said, do you have a key change? Do you need anything? And he said, nope, everything's fine. And then of course when we recorded, he brings his own, his own unique stamp to everything. I mean, he really brought it. But yeah, so I listened to his polka his polka medleys that he does so well, and that was totally intimidating. And then I know his voice. Actually, yeah, and I grew up like listening to Al when I was I still just remember singing all those songs in the schoolyard when I was in elementary school. It was totally my generation. So unfortunately, I've yet to really go down that road of co-writing a song. Except, I do get lyrics a lot of times, so I guess that's kind of a co-write, but I don't actually actively get to communicate with the writers. Like, they're on to other things by the time I get their lyrics, so they usually don't even hear the songs until they're on the TV show. And then they go, what did you do to my lyrics? A couple of questions. We should maybe have someone stand at the front and you can just come down. Would that make more sense?
Oh, hello Daniel. I just want to ask, when you trying to write the songs for the first time and you use only piano, do you have some favorite keys to write in, or do you switch the keys during the whole process?
Yeah.
And don't you have a problem with when the actor is actually not able to sing in your favorite key, or
right.
It sounds different? Is there these kind of issues?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely get a lot of people complaining, like, why did you put it in this key? Like, mainly the fan musicians who want to play the song in these weird keys. And the reason that is I actually do write almost everything in the same key. Or one of 4 keys or something. But I write it for my voice. And I don't sing in the same range as the girls. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll put it in, I'll just sort of write it in something easy to play. And then I bring the singer in, and then I'm it's MIDI, right? So you just kind of drag it up and down. And I'll be like, okay, let's put it, and I kind of know the singer's ranges by now. So then I'll drop it a 4th or a tritone, and then they sing it, and it sounds great. And then afterwards, I look and I'm like, oh my God, how did it end up in C sharp major or something? And so that's what happens. Yeah, the key I write it in is not the key it ends up in ever. Maybe in one case, but usually changes.
Hello, I'm a fan of orchestral movie soundtracks or game soundtracks and stuff, and I just always wanted to know if there are any plans to bring the My Little Pony background music, the orchestrated, to release it on CD or download sometime.
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that Hasbro released the background music for Transformers Prime, and so I know that they have a real initiative now to put out soundtracks. I think you can expect a lot of soundtracks to come out in the next couple of years for all their shows. And in that, I haven't heard, no one said anything to me about the background music, but I think it's warrants it. Will's score is definitely worth being on the soundtrack. So yeah, fingers crossed. Just let them know. Right. They read Equestria Daily and all that stuff every day. So, if they see people talking about it, they see all the background music posts on there. They know that a lot of attention gets paid. That's cool.
I'm just wondering, when you're writing songs that is about the characters of the show, who do you often find the easiest of the ponies to write songs for, and who do you find often the hardest one to write for?
That's a good question. Like, who's easiest to write for? Who's hardest? You know, there's such talented singers. I mean, one thing we really did right on My Little Pony was get like incredible singers. I feel really bad for this dubbing. I'm talking to Anna Lee about what they go through in the dubbing. I'm just going to make a tangent to your question, and I'll come back to it. Like, when I record a song with the singers, I'm in the room with them, and I have the piano, and I can play them the melody, and they can hear what we've already recorded, and teach them the harmonies, and they have the sheet music. And then we tune it after that, and we spend hours on it. So they come out like as good as they could be for the most part. Whereas in the international dubs, there's no composer there. They don't have any of the melody references. They just get like this bed track and these like translated lyrics. And they just go. You have half an hour to record the song, and nobody coaches them. And it sounds like a nightmare. I can't believe they even do it. Yet she does, of course, such a great job. She says she prepares way ahead. And so I have that benefit of working with incredibly good singers who really take it seriously. So I actually look forward to every song for each character, because it's like, oh, cool, now I'm doing, like, it's been a while since I've done an Applejack song. This is good. I don't think any one character is harder to write for than the other. Really, the biggest challenge is when it's a new character, I guess. It's like, okay, now it's Luna. Like we haven't really done like a solo Luna song yet. But if we did, that would be like, okay, now this is going to define her, like from a song perspective. So that's usually the biggest challenge, I'd say, is those new ones. It was tricky with Discord, for example, like the Discord song. It's never sung before, so we need whatever the song is going to be. It's going to be kind of his thing. And poor. I'm drawing a blank. What's his name on Discord? John Lansing, sorry. Poor John, like, I mean, of all the songs he had to sing, like, what a mouthful. He was like, are you serious? Yeah. I say they dread it more than I do, frankly. Oh, this poor girl down here, you're kind of like this, and you're getting this.
So an obvious question, what's your favorite song from the show?
Yeah, people ask that a lot. And I guess I've said in the past, I've said like Smile Song is my favorite. I really like the song we played last night, You'll Play Your Part. I really like that song because it just goes through such a journey. I really feel like it's a little more sophisticated. There are some songs coming up in the next movie, Quest for Girls movie. I know that those movies, I don't know if they're not as popular as the show, but there's some songs in this movie I'm really excited about. So I can't say now, but I think a couple of those are my favorite. And even the stuff that's been going on in season 5 right now, I'm getting really excited about. But I guess for songs that have already been done, yeah, I'd say it's those two. No one ever asked me my least favorite song.
What's your least favorite song?
Wow, there's been so many now. How many songs are in Friendship is Magic? It must be like 60 songs or something. Well, there's the song. There is that song I didn't write. There's only one song I didn't write in it. That's the one with Pinkie Pie on the piano. Sorry, but yeah, I didn't write that song. That was like an executive's son that wanted to do a favor for. And then they gave it. But what he'd done originally was really cool, but it was like totally different. It was like a Coldplay song. It was like, and clearly this kid wanted to write like Coldplay pop, and he had no idea like that Pinkie Pie was going to sing this song. It felt like. And so he had it in this like much more drawn out and really kind of cool thing. And then they were like, okay, now, because this is like this executive's some cousin or whatever. You can't like, you have to use it, but we need to make it fit in the show. And then so it was just like a total mess. So that's probably my least favorite song.
Yeah, like we know the fandom is full of talented people, like artists and musicians and everything. But has ever a musician or an artist influenced you in any way, or shape, or form when you're actually composing music for the show?
From the fandom?
Yes.
No. No, not really. But I guess when we did that dubsteps track, actually, you know, when we did the, you know, for the opening of the Equestrian Girls' first movie, that opening song, it's kind of like a remix of the opening title. It's an electro remix. Like, that was not really my bag. So I was listening to a lot of other remixes of the opening title that people had done. And I'm sorry now, it's been a couple of years, so I can't remember who they were.
I think it was Alex S.
Yeah,
I remember when people were first seeing Equestrian Girls, I was like, this intro is like Alex S.
Yeah, probably stole it.
You heard it here first, then.
I've worked with a couple of the I've worked with Black Griffin now. I've worked with Andy Stein, Mando Pony on other stuff. Andy sang for me on the Little Pet Shop, and we've jammed, and I have huge respect for that guy, and also Gabe, Black Griffin, who's an incredible singer, and he's just actually sang. It hasn't been released yet, but he sang on a My Little Pony song, so you guys will get that eventually. So I've been working with some of the Brody artists, but I can't actually listen to a lot of that music because they don't want that to happen. They don't want there to be too much cross influence. So they specifically are like, you can listen to remixes, you can listen to covers, you can't listen to original Brody music.
Have you seen the literal versions or other parodies of your songs, and what do you think about them?
Which version? Oh, the literal versions. Oh yeah, I love it. So good. So funny. What's the one I saw most recently? No, yeah, there was something, I can't remember which one it was. Oh, yeah, Pinky's Lament. I think I saw the literal version of that. It made me laugh so hard. Those guys do a really good job. I love watching that stuff. I mean, as soon as a song comes out, I try to post it on my Facebook page, just like to acknowledge people who worked on it. And then like the first thing I'll do is like comb YouTube for the first week or two just to see who did a cover, you know. And I love those. So like it's really cool for me to see either just someone playing bass along to it, or somebody playing a piano cover, or doing a literal version or something like that. It's quite a unique experience to have that happen in my position, because most times you write songs on a kids show, nobody really pays attention.
What is your favorite music genre? Not to write music, just to listen for yourself.
Yeah.
Or maybe top 3 if you can.
You know, these days it's so contextual. Like I always think of music as such a contextual thing. So, you know, if I'm having a party at my house, like I'll put on EDM, right? But if I'm like relaxing by myself, I'll put on like singer-songwriters, you know, like Bon Iver. I'm listening to Sam Smith right now, and you know, acoustic kind of stuff. But then sometimes if I'm really just like trying to be pretentious, I'll put on classical music and like, have trumpets and croissants in it. You know, so I think music is great for that. Like you kind of take whatever mood you want and you can put it on and enjoy it. And I think in every single genre, one thing I've really learned to appreciate, I used to be kind of a bit pretentious, to be like, I don't like country music, or I don't like heavy metal or something. Although I do love heavy metal, though. But I would then, like, as soon as you start writing music all the time and you have to do all these genres, you realize, oh wow, like, that's actually really hard to do well. And then you appreciate like really good artists in that genre. So I really have dropped all sort of judgment when it comes to style, and learn to sort of appreciate, like even like really good radio pop. I used to be like, top 40, whatever. But now it's like, I listen to good top 40 and I'm like, wow, I actually would have a hard time doing that. So, yeah, so I think I enjoy a bit of everything really. That's a cop-out answer.
Have you heard any multi-language versions of the My Little Pony song, and if you did you like them?
Any which version?
Multi-language. Like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, I have heard the Japanese ones. Wow, they're so good. I've heard French. I've heard Italian. I've listened to, and they change the intros in those countries too, which is like so unfair because like they get like these 2-minute intros. And I get this 30-second intro. Would have been a different song if I'd gotten a minute. Yeah, I think it's really quite a trip actually to hear all this. Apparently, My Little Pony plays in 180 countries now, which is incredible. And I don't know how many languages that would encompass. And some of those dubs are really bad.
What do you think about the Finnish dub?
I'm embarrassed. I haven't actually heard the Finnish dubs yet. So Annalie was telling me, she was like, okay, wait, before you do, I'm going to tell you which ones to listen to. So she's going to give me a list of like her favorite songs that she did.
I think the following will be the last question for this panel.
Following up on the bad songs, how do you plan for badly sung songs, really? Like Spike during the Equestria games.
Right. I didn't do that. That's right. I didn't do that Spike song, and it's pretty funny because I saw at the end of the list, like we consider that like a ditty. So they say they only really hire me if it's like, okay, we need a song here. But if it's like a little like just having the actor kind of ad-lib off the cuff, they call that a ditty, and that's Will's domain. And in a case like that song, Kathy just I mean the script was like, don't even sing, just like say these lines basically, and then we'll put music to it. And so she did that. She just sort of like hung a few, like said a few tunes, and then just started sort of like quickly saying all these words, and then Will did a great job putting that big anthem to it. And then I was checking on Equestria Daily, and they were like, hey, what are your top 10 songs of season 4? And I'm going on there to kind of like, you know, fuel my ego a little bit. And then of course I was like shattered when I saw that like Spike's anthem was like on the top of that list. But yeah, so hopefully I don't have to do that many of those songs, although it might actually improve my popularity if I did.
All right, well, thank you very much, and give a round of applause.